Welcome to Beginning C++, where you'll learn to program in one of the most powerful programming languages in the world. Now, my name is Tim Bachauko, and your instructor in this course is Frank Metropolis. Now, I started out as a programmer in the 1980s, and I've been a professional software developer ever since, as well as a teacher. Now, I've actually got close to 300,000 students and 55,000 reviews for my various programming courses. And last year, in 2017, I created the Learn Programming Academy with a goal to train 1 million people as software developers in the next 3 years. Now, to help with that, I'm partnering with a group of instructors who've demonstrated a commitment to excellence and who have the right real-world programming experience and skills to help people just like you become professional software developers. Frank has been using C++ for over 2 decades and has taught lots of students in both university courses and industry training courses. He's even worked on a C++ compiler development project when he was in the industry. So you will be learning from someone with both extensive experience in C++ as a programmer, but also as a trainer. Now, Frank will teach you modern C++, including C++ 11 and C++ 14, and take you from C++ basics to more advanced concepts like inheritance and polymorphic functions. You'll also learn a lot of other skills along the way, such as how to manage memory, how to use functions and pointers, classes, constructors, destructors, and a lot more. Now, having C++ skills on your resume is often seen as a badge of honour among software developers, and many times, frankly, it will get you that job interview. Why? Because C++ programmers have a skill set that sets them apart from many other programmers. You've probably heard that C++ programmers command high salaries. That's true, and you may have even heard the phrase C++ equals salary plus. The reality is that there's a lot of career opportunities out there for C++ programmers. So why not start putting yourself on the fast track to success by learning C++ today? Now, there's no other requirements needed to enroll in this course other than having access to a computer. Now, if you're looking to get your first or a better programming job or to freelance as a software developer, then this course will definitely help you. Feel free also to look through the course description on this page for more details, and we look forward to seeing you on the inside.
Hello, and welcome to Beginning C++ Programming. Thank you very much for enrolling in this course and placing your confidence in the Learn Programming Academy team and in me for your training. In this video, I'd like to introduce you to the course, but first I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Frank Metropolis, and I'll be your instructor for this course. You can read more about me in the course bio, but I want you to be sure that I will do everything I can to make sure the course content is correct, relevant, understandable, and hopefully fun. I've been a university computer science professor for many years. I've also worked in industry as a programmer, software engineer, and project manager. I've taught thousands of students in both academia and industry how to program using many programming languages. But C++ is my favorite language to teach. I first learned C++ back in 1988, and I've used it ever since. That's quite a long time ago, and C++ has evolved greatly since then. I'm very excited to teach this course. I hope you're also excited about learning C++. In this course, I assume that you're completely new to C++. I also assume that you have little, if any, programming experience with other programming languages. If you do have programming experience, that's great. This course is still for you, since you'll definitely learn C++. The course curriculum has been developed in a way that introduces new topics in a specific order. I encourage you to follow along one section at a time. Before you know it, you'll be writing C++ programs that solve problems. In this course, I'll cover modern C++. I'll talk more about just exactly what modern C++ is as we go through the course, but rest assured that you'll be learning C++ as it should be used today. Over the years, I've worked with many students, and I can only remember a few that just didn't get programming. I still think that if they tried a little harder, then programming would have clicked at some point. If you're new to programming, you will at some point in this course feel frustrated. This is perfectly normal. Programming is a skill that must be learned and practiced. You play a musical instrument? Do you remember what it sounded like the first time you played? Do you remember wanting to smash that guitar or piano because you just couldn't get it? Programming is similar. You must practice and practice to get better. If you get frustrated, take a break and try again a bit later. Remember, we've all been there. I still remember the first program I ever wrote. It was back in 1980 using a programming language called Fortran 77. I was so excited that I was able to program a computer to do exactly what I wanted it to do. The program was pretty simple. It asked the user for an amount in US dollars and then displayed how many quarters, dimes, nickels, and pennies it would take to add up to that entered amount. We'll do the same problem in this course. I also remember that it took me maybe more than a couple of attempts before it was correct. But man, what a great feeling when it ran correctly. In this course, each section ends with a challenge exercise. These will help reinforce the concepts presented in this section to help in learning the material. Once you finish the challenge, don't stop there. Challenge yourself. Come up with similar problems on your own and solve them. Then do it again and again. Make it fun. Make the problem silly if you want to. It doesn't matter. It's all about practice. Finally, if you have any questions at all, please ask them in the forums. I will personally monitor the forums and respond to questions. Before you post, though, browse the already answered questions, since your question may already have an answer. Well, enough talk. I look forward to working with everyone. Let's start learning C++. One question that students often ask when they're considering a career in software development is, what programming language should I learn? There's really no easy answer to that question. Experienced professional programmers generally know many programming languages and use them based on many factors. The question I'd like to address in this video is, why learn C++? Let's start with C++'s popularity. Much, if not most, of the software written today is still written in C++, and this has been the case for many, many years. There are many programming language popularity indexes that use different criteria for ranking the popularity of programming languages. Let's head over to a browser and we'll look at a few of them. I've opened up a browser and I've loaded several sites that rank programming languages based on popularity. All of the data I'm showing is current as of November 2017, so depending on when you access the site, your results may differ. Each site uses their own criteria, and I encourage you to browse through these sites. I've provided the URLs for these sites in the course resources. First, let's look at the TIOBE index. As you can see, C++ is currently ranked 3rd. If you select that row, you can learn more about C++'s popularity since 2001. It's pretty impressive for a language to be ranked so consistently for so long, considering how many new languages and frameworks appear on the scene. The next site is the PYPL Popularity Index. As you can see, C++ is currently ranked 6th. Next, we'll look at the IEEE Spectrum rankings. On IEEE Spectrum, C++ is ranked number 4. The RedMonk ranking has C++ at number 6. And finally, we'll take a look at ZDNet's rankings. They combine popular indexes and create an ensemble ranking, which shows C++ at number 4. They also provide an analysis of the data that's a good read. Let's return to the slides. As you can see from these sites, C++ is still a very popular language among software developers, and the ranking is consistently high. If you go to GitHub, you'll see that there's a huge number of active C++ repositories, and C++ is also extremely active on Stack Overflow. Popularity is important, but C++ is also a relevant language. There are many, many leading software titles written entirely or partly in C++. These include the Windows, Linux, and Mac OS X operating systems, many of the Adobe products such as Photoshop and Illustrator, the MySQL and MongoDB database engines, and many, many more. Leading tech companies use C++ for many of their products and internal research and development. These include Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, PayPal, Google, Facebook, Oracle, and more. Finally, the types of projects that C++ is being used on are pretty cool. In many cases, these are the engines that drive many popular frameworks. For example, engines for virtual reality, the Unreal Game Engine, machine learning, network and telecom, and more. There are many reasons why C++ is so popular and relevant, but the main reason is because it's so powerful. What do I mean by powerful? C++ is super fast. It's a general-purpose programming language that supports both procedural and object-oriented programming, making it very flexible. It scales easily, and it can also be portable. C++ can do many things that other languages just can't. That's why nearly every major language has a way to interface with the code written in C++. With all this power and flexibility comes complexity. There's no question that C++ is one of the most complex programming languages out there, but learning the basics is pretty easy, and that's what this course is all about. Finally, you've probably heard that C++ programmers command higher salaries. This is true. You may have even heard the phrase C++ equals salary plus. Career opportunities are out there for C++ programmers. I've consulted for many years with major U.S. corporations on the hiring of software developers. This includes full-stack developers, Java developers, iOS and Android developers, and C++ developers. Having C++ skills on your resume is often like a badge of honor among software developers, and many times it'll get you that job interview. Why? Because C++ programmers have a skill set that sets them apart from many other programmers. One final thought. Since so many programming languages are influenced by C++, learning new languages is often easier since you already have solid foundation in a root programming language like C++. As you can see, you've made a good choice in learning C++. In the next video, we'll briefly look at the evolution of C++ and the C++ standard. In this video, we'll take a brief look at the history of C++ based on some major language milestones. In the early 1970s, Dennis Ritchie created the C programming language at Bell Labs. The development of C was closely tied to the development of the Unix operating system. In 1979, Bjarne Stroustrup started working on what became C++. He initially called it C with classes. His idea was to add to C object-oriented features that he knew from a language called Simula. In 1983, the name was changed to C++, and the first commercial release was in 1989. In 1998, the C++ Standards Committee published the first C++ standard, informally known as C++ 98. Multiple issues with C++ 98 were addressed, and the C++ 03 standard was released. Then in mid-2011, the C++ 11 standard was released, and then after that, C++ 14 and C++ 17. As you can see, C++ has been around for quite some time. Notice that I've bolded and italicized the last three standards. These standards are sort of a renaissance for C++ that changed the language going forward. These changes are what modern C++ is all about. Generally, C++ that's based on the language as defined before the C++ 11 standard is considered classical C++, and C++ based on C++ 11 and forward is considered modern C++. That's fine, but what does that mean? Well, modern C++ is a way of saying that it's C++ as defined today, with new ways of managing objects in memory, lambdas, smart shared pointers, threading, and more. These terms may not mean anything to you yet, but modern C++ feels like a new programming language when compared to classical C++. In fact, Bjarne Stroustrup described modern C++ as a new language, one with modern abstractions for ease of use and power. Along with the language features themselves, modern C++ is also about best practices and core guidelines. In this course, we'll be using modern C++. As we go through the course, I'll sometimes mention that this feature was introduced in C++ 11 or C++ 14 and so forth. I'll do that for a few reasons, but the most important is so that you know where to look for this feature as your C++ studies continue after you finish this course. I'll also show you best practices and gotchas that you should be aware of. If you're new to programming, you may be wondering how all this works. After all, it sometimes seems like magic. How can we get a computer to do what we want it to do using a programming language? Let's see in the next video.